Here's your lesson on linear and quadratic functions in case you need to watch it again or if you're absent. A linear function is a line. A line has a constant slope. A line has a degree of 1, which means there's an invisible 1 to be the largest exponent in the equation. This is a big one right here to understand a line. Now, if I have an equation and I want to be able to graph that equation, understand the form that it's in and what information it gives you. So y equals 3/4 x subtract 2. 3/4 represents the slope. Now the letter we use for slope is often m, so I'm going to write that down, that m is 3/4. The number by itself without the x is called the y-intercept, and the letter we often use for that is b. Here's a good reminder that if something goes too fast, you should rewind, you should press pause, so if it gets out of control in terms of the pace that you want, that you slow it down yourself because it's a video. All right, if I'm going to graph this, I draw a set of axes. I'm going to start with the y-intercept, which is -2. And then the slope is 3/4. Now, the numerator gives me the rise, and the denominator gives me what's called the run. So if it's positive, that means I'm going to go up 3. And if this bottom number is positive, that means I'm going to go to the right 4. If it was negative, I go in the opposite direction. So we're going to go up 3 and to the right 4. So again, start at -2, up 3 to the right 4, and then draw your line from there. Now sometimes the line can be in different forms. So sometimes it could be, let's do this form. This is called HK form, or sometimes it's called point slope form. So this is another quick way to graph in this form, that the first number you see there is the slope, but instead of being given the y-intercept, we're given a point on the graph that we're going to plot. Now inside the parentheses, we're always going to be the opposite sign of that number that we see. So it's going to be +1. What's outside the parentheses? It stays what it says, does what it says, stays what it is. That's +3. So we're going to start with a point, and then from the point, we're going to do the slope. So here's a graph again. We're going to start with that point, which is 1, 3. So I'm going to go 1 to the right and 3 up. And then from there, what direction are we going? So this tells me down 1 and to the right 2. So from here, we're going to go down 1 and to the right 2. And then we're going to draw our line, and we've done it. There's one more type of line you might see. Sometimes it's called standard form. And that's when both the x and the y are beside each other. And I want to graph this line. What should I do? And likely the easiest thing here to do is to make it explicit. Means get y by itself and everything else on the other side. So I'm going to subtract 3x to get y by itself. I'm going to divide by -2. Be careful with negatives. So a negative divided by a negative is positive 3/2. A positive divided by a negative is negative. But now I have the values that I need. So the slope is 3/2. The y-intercept is -3. That's where I'm going to start graphing. So when I graph my line, again, you can press pause. We're going to start at -3. And then the direction we're going to go is up 3 and over 2. And then draw your line. All right, so that's a linear function, how to graph it, different ways that you could see it. The other thing we talked about is a quadratic. So a quadratic, when it graphs, is a parabola. So when we're talking about a quadratic, it has a degree of 2. That means the largest exponent you'll see is 2. It also graphs to be a parabola. And a parabola has a vertex, which is either a max or a minimum value there. And that's going to look like a U. either up or a U going down. So there's a quadratic that we're looking at. So if I give you a quadratic, this could be the form of your quadratic. This is considered to be vertex form or HK form, similar to the line. So the -3, we actually use the letter A. It gives us the average rate of change to be able to find 2 more points from the vertex. And the vertex is at +1 and +2. So we change the sign and we keep the sign. So +1, +2. And then we can graph it from there. Again, going too fast, press pause. We're going to go 1 to the right and 2 up. There's our vertex. And then our A, -3. From there, we're going to count down 3 and to the right and to the left 1, and then draw our parabola. Done. Now, there's one more thing left for the lesson, is what happens when it's in standard form. So this is not in vertex form. This is expanded or in standard form. Now what do I do to graph this? So the correct answer here is we're going to factor it first. So what 2 numbers multiply? When you factor, you change this into a product instead of being expanded. What 2 numbers multiply to -3 and add to -2? So we find those 2 numbers. So -3 times 1 and -3 plus 1, it fits. Use parentheses. We can take each factor and make it equal to 0, or just understand what makes it equal to 0. Add 3. So 1 x-intercept is +3. Take the other factor. You can make it equal to 0. Get x by itself. Subtract 1. Or what value for x makes it 0. Both are good. Here we go. So +3 and -1. Those are your x-intercepts. To graph this, we're going to use our x-intercepts. So we're going to go to +3 and -1. Again, if it's going too fast, you can press pause. What's the number exactly in the middle? It's right here, exactly in the middle. That's where your axis of symmetry is, and that's where your vertex is going to be. So I need to know what the x value is there. So it's at 1. So I know our vertex is at +1. That's exactly in the middle. To find the y value, I'm going to plug it back into the equation, either equation, and then solve it. So wherever there's an x, I can plug in 1. I can use either one and get the same answer. So this is going to be 1 take away 2 take away 3. So that's -4. So on this line, I'm going to go to 1, 2, 3, -4, and there's my vertex. And now I can sketch my parabola. All right, there's your quick lesson on graphing lines and parabolas. Mr. G Math over and out. Until next time, I hope that helped.